I was sitting in my apartment when the call came through. My grandmother Helen had passed away 3 days earlier, and her attorney needed to speak with me about the will. I expected maybe a piece of jewelry, perhaps a small keepsake. What I did not expect was to inherit her house and nearly $250,000 in savings. My hands shook as I held the phone. Kyle, my younger brother, got $5,000 and some photo albums. I knew instantly this would tear my family apart. Before I tell you how everything unraveled, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story takes a turn nobody in my family saw coming, least of all me. Growing up, Kyle was always the golden child. 3 years younger than me, he had that natural charm that made everyone gravitate toward him. He played varsity football in high school, while I spent afternoons in the library. Our parents Linda and Frank lit up whenever Kyle walked into a room. His trophies lined the mantel. His report cards went on the fridge even when they were mediocre. Mine never made it past the kitchen counter. I learned early not to expect much attention. When Kyle needed money for football camp, Dad wrote the check without hesitation. When I asked for help with college application fees, I got a lecture about responsibility and working for what I wanted. I did work. I worked 2 jobs through college while Kyle got his tuition fully covered because he played 1 season of college baseball before dropping out. Nobody questioned it. That was just how things were. Grandma Helen saw it differently. She never said much, but she noticed. While Kyle showed up at her place twice a year, usually for Christmas and her birthday, I stopped by every Sunday. I mowed her lawn in summer and shoveled her driveway in winter. I drove her to doctor appointments and helped her grocery shop. We would sit in her kitchen and talk about everything. She told me stories about growing up during the Depression, about my grandfather, who died before I was born, about what it meant to work hard and expect nothing in return. The attorney explained that Grandma Helen had drafted her will 2 years earlier. She was completely lucid, had a medical evaluation to prove it, and made her intentions crystal clear. The house in the suburbs and her life savings went to me. Kyle received $5,000 and a box of family photographs. The attorney handed me the documents. Everything was legal, notarized, witnessed. There was no ambiguity. That evening, my phone rang. Mom's voice was tight when she spoke. "We need to talk about your grandmother's will. Not, 'How are you holding up?' or 'I know you are grieving.' Just straight to the inheritance." I told her I would call her back. I needed time to process this. Grandma Helen had given me something nobody else ever had. She had seen me. She had valued what I contributed. For the first time in my life, someone had chosen me first. Kyle texted me around 10 that night. "We need to talk about this. It is not fair." I stared at those words for a long time. Fair. What had been fair about our entire childhood? What had been fair about watching him get every advantage while I scraped by? But I did not text that back. I just said we would talk soon. 2 weeks later, Mom organized a family dinner. She called it a chance to reconnect after Grandma's funeral. I should have known better. The moment I walked in, I felt the weight of their expectations. Dad barely looked at me. Mom was overly cheerful in that forced way that meant trouble. Kyle and his girlfriend Amanda sat on the couch, her hand on his knee. We made it through the appetizers before Kyle cleared his throat. "So Amanda and I have some news." He looked at her with this soft expression I had rarely seen from him. "I'm going to propose. We have been together 4 years and it is time." Amanda blushed and smiled. Mom clapped her hands together. Dad nodded approvingly. Then came the punch. "We want to do it right," Kyle continued. "A real wedding. Amanda has always dreamed of this beautiful ceremony, maybe somewhere with mountains, good food, all our friends and family." He paused. "We are looking at about $60,000 total." The room went quiet. I knew what was coming. Mom turned to me with that smile that was not really a smile. "Logan, you could help your brother out. Family should support each other. You have all that money now just sitting there." I felt my chest tighten. "I have plans for that money." Dad finally spoke. "What plans?" "You are just going to sit on it. Kyle needs it now. This is his future we are talking about." I looked at Kyle. He had this expression of wounded expectation, like I was already the villain for even hesitating. It would mean a lot, man, he said quietly. This is important to us. Amanda nodded, her eyes wide. We would be so grateful. I took a breath. I need that money to pay off my student loans. I still owe $40,000, and I want to use the rest as a down payment on a place of my own. This is the first time I have ever had financial stability. Mom's face hardened. So, you are saying no to your brother's happiness. After everything he has been through, what has he been through? The words came out harsher than I intended. He got his college paid for. He never had debt. I have been working multiple jobs since I was 16. Dad stood up. That is enough. You are being selfish, Logan. This is family. I left before things got worse. As I walked to my car, I heard Mom's voice through the door. Something about how she raised me better than this. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The phone calls started the next day. Mom called every morning for a week. At first, she was gentle, reminding me about family values and how Kyle had always looked up to me. By day 5, her tone had shifted. I cannot believe you are doing this to him. To us. By day 7, she stopped calling. Dad sent emails instead. Long formal messages about responsibility and obligation. He talked about how he and Mom had sacrificed for both of us, how this was my chance to give back. He never mentioned the sacrifices I had made, the jobs I worked, the nights I studied while Kyle partied. Those things did not count in his version of the story. Kyle played it differently. He did not contact me directly, but his social media told a story. Pictures of him and Amanda, captions about how some dreams have to wait, and when family lets you down. It was subtle enough that most people would not catch it, but I knew exactly what he was doing. Then the relatives started. Aunt Patricia called to say she heard about the situation and thought I should reconsider. Uncle Raymond sent a text about how Grandma Helen would want me to help Kyle. Cousin Jennifer messaged asking if the rumors were true that I was refusing to help with the wedding. The campaign was coordinated. They had all discussed it, decided I was wrong, and were now applying pressure from every angle. I held firm. Every time someone called, I explained the same thing. This money was my chance at stability. I had loans to pay, a future to build. I would help Kyle in other ways, but I could not give him $60,000. Some people understood. Most did not. Sleep became difficult. I would lie awake wondering if I was being unreasonable. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe good brothers did help with weddings. But then I would remember all the times Kyle got what I never did, all the years of being second choice, and I knew I could not give in. This was not about revenge. This was about survival. 6 weeks after that dinner, Kyle called me. His voice was warm, friendly even. Hey man, can we grab coffee? Just the two of us. No parents, no drama. I agreed, cautiously hopeful that maybe he understood. We met at a cafe downtown. Kyle bought the drinks, asked about my work, seemed genuinely interested in my life for the first time in years. Then slowly, he brought up the wedding. Amanda's family was pressuring them. Her parents had old-fashioned ideas about who should pay for what. His friends were all getting married. He felt like he was falling behind. I just need help getting started, he said. Maybe not 60,000. Maybe just enough for the venue and the photographer. I would pay you back. We could draw up an agreement. I asked about terms, interest rates, timeline, collateral. His face changed. You are really going to treat me like a bank? I am your brother. This is not about trust, Kyle. This is about my future. I need that money. He stood up. You know what? Forget it. I should have known you would not help. You have always been jealous of me. He walked out before I could respond. The next day, Mom called. She had heard about the coffee meeting. You made him feel terrible. He was trying to compromise and you threw it in his face. She hung up before I could defend myself. Dad sent one final email. Your mother and I are very disappointed in you. Until you decide to be part of this family, we think it is best if we have some space. Space. That was the word he used for cutting me off. The silence that followed was heavy. No calls on my birthday, 2 months later. No texts on holidays. Kyle posted pictures of family dinners I was not invited to. I told myself I was fine. I had made the right choice. But loneliness is a particular kind of pain that sits in your chest, and does not leave. Then 4 months after everything fell apart, I decided to sell Grandma's house. It hurt to let it go, but I needed the liquidity. The house was worth about $180,000. Combined with the cash minus what I owed, I would have enough to buy a small condo and still have savings. The real estate agent called with a problem. Someone has filed a claim against the property. There is a legal challenge to the will. My stomach dropped. The agent sent me the documents. Kyle had filed a petition, claiming Grandma Helen was not mentally competent when she drafted her will. He said I had manipulated her, taken advantage of her age, isolated her from the family. I called my attorney immediately. She reviewed the documents and sighed. This is a delay tactic. They have no case. Your grandmother had a full medical evaluation. The will is ironclad, but it will tie things up for a few months while we go through the process. I tried calling Kyle. He did not answer. I texted him. No response. Finally, I drove to his apartment and knocked on the door. Amanda answered, her face flushing when she saw me. Kyle does not want to talk to you. He is trying to steal my inheritance. He is trying to get what should have been his. She started to close the door. Kyle appeared behind her. You took everything from me, Logan. Grandma was confused. You knew that and you used it. She was completely clear. You are lying because you did not get what you wanted. You always thought you were better than me. The responsible one. The good grandson. Well, guess what? Nobody thinks that anymore. They all see who you really are. The door slammed. I stood there in the hallway shaking with anger and hurt. This was my brother. We had shared a room growing up. I had taught him to ride a bike, and now he was trying to destroy me over money. The legal battle lasted 3 months. Every week brought new filings, new arguments, new stress. My attorney was confident, but I could not stop worrying. What if the court believed him? What if I lost everything? I could barely focus at work. I lost weight. My few friends noticed but did not know what to say. Finally, the court date arrived. The judge reviewed all the evidence in less than an hour. Grandma Helen's medical records, the attorney's testimony, the witnesses who were present when she signed the will. Kyle's attorney had nothing substantial. The judge dismissed the case. Kyle was ordered to pay my legal fees, about $8,000. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt empty. My brother had tried to take everything from me and failed. My parents had supported him in it. My family was gone. 3 weeks after the court dismissed Kyle's case, my phone rang at 7 in the morning. I did not recognize the number. The voice on the other end identified himself as a supervisor from my bank. Mr. Logan, we have a situation we need to discuss immediately. Can you come in this morning? I was there by 8. The supervisor, a man named Gregory with nervous hands and reading glasses, led me to a private office. He explained that someone had attempted to withdraw $30,000 from my inheritance account the previous afternoon. The transaction was stopped because the signature did not match what they had on file. We asked for additional verification, Gregory continued. The person presented a power of attorney document claiming you had given them authority to manage the account. He slid a paper across the desk. I stared at my own forged signature. It was good, close enough to fool a casual observer, but my actual signature had a specific way the L in Logan connected to the rest of the letters. This one did not. Who tried to do this, I already knew. Your brother, Kyle. Gregory pulled out another document. He became agitated when we asked him to wait while we verified. He said you had given him permission, that it was for a family emergency. When we called your number on file, it went to voicemail. We told him we could not proceed without speaking to you directly. He left. My hands were shaking. This is fraud. This is forgery. Yes, it is. We have already contacted the police. They will want to speak with you. I sat in that office for 2 hours. Police came. I gave a statement. They took copies of everything. The officer, a woman named Detective Sarah Reeves, looked at me with something like pity. This happens more than you would think. Family members get desperate. I am sorry you are going through this. They tracked Kyle down that afternoon. The investigation moved quickly because the evidence was clear. Kyle had hired a guy he knew from his brief college days who did document work on the side. They found emails between Kyle and this person discussing the forgery. The messages were detailed. Kyle had sent photos of my signature from old birthday cards. He had paid this person $800 to create the power of attorney. Detective Reeves called me 2 days later. "We are bringing him in." "Do you want to press charges, did I?" This was my brother. But he had tried to steal from me. Not borrow, not ask. Steal, using fake documents and lies. If the bank had not caught it, he would have taken $30,000, and I never would have known until it was too late. "Yes," I said. "I want to press charges." They arrested Kyle at his apartment. Amanda was there. According to the police report, she claimed she knew nothing about it. Maybe that was true. Maybe not. The story made it to my parents within an hour. Dad called me for the first time in months. His voice was cold. "What have you done? What have I done?" Kyle tried to steal from me. He forged legal documents. He committed a crime. He is your brother. He made a mistake. You are going to send him to jail over money. He did not make a mistake, Dad. He planned this. He hired someone to forge my signature. He lied to the bank. This was calculated. Mom took the phone. She was crying. "Please, Logan, do not do this." He was just desperate. The wedding is in 2 months. Amanda's family already paid for the venue. He was not thinking clearly. None of that is my fault. None of that excuses what he did. If you do this, you will never be welcome in this family again. Something in me broke. I have not been welcome in this family for a long time. Mom, you made that clear. Kyle made that clear. All of you chose sides, and it was not mine. So do not pretend this is about me destroying the family. The family was already gone. I hung up. I turned off my phone for 3 days after that. When I finally turned it back on, there were 40 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Most were from relatives I barely knew, telling me I was cruel, heartless, vindictive. A few were from people who understood, who said I was doing the right thing. Those messages meant more than I expected. Kyle's attorney worked out a plea deal. Kyle would plead guilty to 1 count of forgery and 1 count of attempted theft. In exchange, he would get 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service, and he would have to pay back my legal fees and bank costs, about $10,000 total. If he violated probation, he would serve 18 months in jail. The judge accepted the plea. I was there in the courtroom. Kyle would not look at me. Amanda was not there. I found out later she had broken off the engagement the day after his arrest. Her family demanded their money back. The wedding was canceled. Kyle moved back in with our parents. Mom sent me one final text. "I hope you are happy. You destroyed your brother's life over money. I will never forgive you for this." I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. The first month after everything settled was the hardest. I went to work, came home, and sat in my apartment feeling like I had survived something, but was not sure what. The inheritance was secure. Kyle could not touch it, but I felt no victory, just exhaustion. I sold Grandma Helen's house 6 weeks later. A young couple bought it, first-time homeowners, who were so excited they nearly cried at the closing. I was glad it went to people who would love it. I took the money and did what I had planned from the beginning. I paid off every cent of my student loans. $42,000 gone in one payment. The feeling of watching that balance hit zero was better than anything I could describe. I was free of debt for the first time since I was 18. With what remained, I put a down payment on a small condo in a quiet neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, a tiny balcony, my own parking space. It was not fancy, but it was mine. No roommates, no landlord, just me and the life I was building. Work became my focus. I threw myself into projects, took on extra responsibilities, stayed late. My supervisor noticed. 3 months after I moved into the condo, she called me into her office and offered me a promotion. More money, better title. Actual respect for what I did. I said yes before she finished explaining the benefits package. I also started going to therapy. My doctor recommended someone who specialized in family estrangement. That was the term she used. Estrangement. It sounded clinical, distant. But sitting in that office talking to a woman named Dr. Patricia, who actually listened, I started to understand what had happened. My family had not been healthy. The favoritism, the manipulation, the conditional love, these were patterns that existed long before the inheritance. The money just made them impossible to ignore. Dr. Patricia asked me in our fourth session if I felt guilty. I did. Every day. I felt guilty for pressing charges, guilty for not giving Kyle the money, guilty for being the one who caused all this pain. She leaned forward in her chair. Logan, you did not cause this. Kyle chose to commit a crime. Your parents chose to support him instead of holding him accountable. You set a boundary, and they could not accept it. That is not your fault. It took months before I believed her. Maybe I still do not. Not completely. But I am getting there. I also started building new relationships. There was a guy at work named Travis, who I had known casually for years. After my promotion, we ended up on the same project team. He invited me to grab a drink after work one Friday. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his own complicated family, a father who left when he was young, a mother who tried her best but could not quite fill the gap. I told him about the inheritance, about Kyle, about everything. He did not judge. He just listened. Travis became my best friend. We started having dinner once a week, watched football games together, just existed as people who liked each other's company without any expectations. He introduced me to his friend group, normal people with normal problems who did not care about my family drama. For the first time in my life, I had people who chose to be around me because they wanted to, not because we shared DNA. I also reached out to a few relatives who had sent supportive messages during the worst of it. My cousin Daniel, who I had not spoken to in years, met me for coffee. He told me he always thought the way my parents treated Kyle versus me was unfair. I saw it, man. We all saw it. Some of us just did not know what to say. We started texting regularly after that. Not close, but connected. A year after everything fell apart, I was doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I had a job I liked. A home I owned, friends who cared about me. I was not in debt. I was not stressed about money. I could buy groceries without checking my bank account first. These small freedoms meant everything. I did not talk to my parents. I did not talk to Kyle. I heard through Daniel that Kyle finished his community service and got a job doing construction work. He was dating someone new. Mom and Dad still would not speak my name. That was fine. I did not need them to. Sometimes late at night, sitting on my balcony, I thought about Grandma Helen. I wished I could tell her what happened, how her gift had changed everything, how it had cost me a family but given me myself. I think she would understand. She had always understood. The guilt came and went. Some days I wondered if I should have handled it differently, been more generous, more forgiving. But then I remembered Kyle's face, when he tried to justify forging my signature. I remembered Dad's voice telling me I was destroying the family. I remembered Mom's text saying she would never forgive me. Those were choices they made, not me. Dr. Patricia said something in one of our last sessions that stuck with me. You cannot control how people react to your boundaries. You can only control whether you maintain them. You chose yourself. Logan, that is not something to apologize for. I still think about that. Choosing yourself should not feel revolutionary, but in my family it was. In a lot of families it is. I am not angry anymore. Not at Kyle, not at my parents. I am just done. There is a difference between forgiveness and acceptance. I accept what happened. I accept that my family could not give me what I needed. I accept that I had to walk away to survive. That does not mean I forgive the lies, the manipulation, the theft. It means I am not letting those things define my life anymore. Grandma Helen's inheritance was never really about the money. It was about being seen, being valued, being chosen. She gave me permission to believe I mattered. That was the real gift. I do not know what happens next. Maybe someday Kyle will reach out, actually apologize, try to make things right. Maybe my parents will realize how much they lost by choosing sides. Maybe none of that will happen. I am okay either way. I have built a life that does not depend on their approval. Sometimes the family you are born into teaches you exactly what kind of family you do not want to be. Sometimes losing them is how you find yourself. I do not regret standing my ground. I do not regret protecting what was mine. I do not regret saying no. And if I could go back and do it all again knowing everything I know now, I would make the same choices. Because the alternative was losing myself, and that price was too high. So here I am, a year and a half later, sitting in my own place debt-free, surrounded by people who actually care about me. I am not perfect. I still have bad days. But I am free, and that freedom is worth more than any inheritance. Have you ever had to choose between family and yourself? Have you ever stood your ground even when everyone told you that you were wrong? Drop a comment below. I would love to hear your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes knowing you are not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening. I hope you find the courage to choose yourself when it matters most. Take care of yourselves out there. You deserve it.